Hello and welcome back to another video. Today is the first video in 2023. I will react to geography of Finland, and I have a few good and a few bad things to say about Finland. So I hope you will enjoy it. Please like and subscribe to the video. And yeah, I don't know if he will mention something which will then give me a good opportunity to say my criticism. But I will just see, and if there's no possibility, I will just say it at some point in the video. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Let's get into this.
Finland.
So he was in Finland for this episode. He does this with some countries, and so yeah, let's of course I would also like to do something like this. It would be awesome, just to travel to other countries and make videos there. But maybe later. Maybe I will have the opportunity also later with some countries.
Let's talk about this place that I totally have no preconceived biases towards.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbie. Welcome to the dark sheep of Northern Europe. All the other Nordic countries are like la 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 la, while Finland is like we'll get into the heavy metal thing in a bit. But first, now just remember, Finland is
Which is really interesting. I will show you something. He will explain in a moment the difference between Nordic countries and Scandinavian countries, which I think I know, but something else what I want to show you. True size of. I mean, you know the website probably already. I mentioned it before again. And yeah, let's just take a small look on how Finland compares to other parts in the world. Just take Finland, not Fiji, and put it down, for example, to North America, as a first comparison. Maybe you came from the United States, so it's something you can. Yeah, it's not half as big as Texas, so let's just put it now over to South America. I will maybe do this with other countries also as well later. It's Peru is very large. I always forget this. Then of course Africa, where it is just not as big as Madagascar even. And it's always interesting. Finland looks so big on the map, but if you pull it down, I don't know how the world maps works. So everything in the center is smaller than at the top and the bottom, but still. You see where in the Antarctic, Finland would look much bigger than other parts of the world. The Antarctic is really big. I mean, of course, it's not big as here. When you take, I mean, I will go back to the video soon, but here you have Antarctica. It's not as big as Africa, bigger than Australia, and maybe half as big as Australia, South America. I think 14 million square kilometers. But anyway, Finland is not as big. You can also, just if you live in Asia, take Finland again and pull it here. Yeah, it's very small compared to other parts, especially in the south. But yeah, it's very Nordic. Let's now here's the difference between Nordic countries and Scandinavian countries. I think Scandinavian is Denmark, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. And Nordic countries is everything except Denmark. I'm not sure. I think, but I think that Finland is not a Scandinavian country. That's here.
Nordic, but don't call it Scandinavian. There's a huge difference. That title only belongs to Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. First of all, Finland is located in northern Europe, lying on the Gulf of Finland and the Gulf of Bothnia, east of all that Scandinavian stuff. To the west, they border Sweden on the Torne River, or the Tornionjoki, until it reaches the tri-point border with Norway at the three-country Cairnstone. And to the east, they border big ol' Russia with another tri-point border with Norway that looks like this. The country is divided into 19 regions.
I want to see these two points here between Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and Russia, and Norway, and Finland. I like this points where many countries have a common border, and then there's a kind of statue or monument. It's always nice.
Or maakunta, with the autonomous region that we'll talk about a little bit later, and the capital of Helsinki, located in the south on the Gulf of Finland, which is also the second most northern capital in the world after Reykjavik, Iceland. The country also owns about 180,000 islands, the highest concentration of which found in the Baltic off the coast in the Åland archipelago. Keep in mind, parts of Finland also lie within the Arctic Circle. That's how far up north they are. And the three busiest airports are Helsinki, Oulu, and Rovaniemi. Now, my favorite part, territorial anomalies! First of all, with Russia, there are too many split islands and penne enclaves, the islands of Aikaniemi and Sursari, Tarasinsari Islands and lakes, the island in the Koitajoki River. Seriously, just play around with Google Earth and see how many you can find. Finally, we get to Sweden and things get interesting. Most of the borders with Sweden run along rivers that eventually flow into the Torne River, and then we get a strange golf course that is split between the two countries in the town of Tornio and Sweden. Not only that, but then you have the strange Market Island right next to Åland in the Gulf of Bothnia, which has an inverted S-shaped border. It had to do with the lighthouse that was built belonging to Finland, but then Sweden was like, hey, it's too close to our side of the island. So they drew a border that was like this to give each side equal shares of the land. See this archipelago cluster of islands right here?
I have heard of
Built belonging to Finland, but then Sweden was like, hey, it's too close to our side of the island. So they drew a border that was like this.
I have heard of this. I have heard of this island before. It is quite funny that I think they built the lighthouse when there was no official border. They both recognized, and then they have done this, and kind of they have equivalent. It doesn't matter because probably there's nothing else on the island except the lighthouse. So who cares? But it's interesting.
To give each side equal shares of the land. See this archipelago cluster of islands right here? Yeah, it belongs to Finland, even though most of the people here speak Swedish. Åland is Finland's strange little administrative anomaly. Long story short, it used to belong to Sweden, but then the Russians took over it in addition to Finland. Then after the Russian Revolution, Finland became free, and then the UN decided Åland should belong to Finland with autonomy. But then the Soviets started attacking again, and then Finland was like, nope, and then fought back relentlessly, defending themselves and Åland, and Sweden just kind of sat there and didn't really do much for Åland as they decided to stay neutral. Finland defending Åland was kind of like the turning point. Now it's kind of like, Åland, come back to me! Look, Sweden, we had some great times, but you kind of really didn't do much for me when things got crazy. I mean, Finland defended me, okay? And he treats me well, okay? His tax incentives are great. It's time to move on. It's not me. It's you. Åland! Also, Finland kind of threatened that if Åland was ceded back to Sweden, they would demand the Tornio Valley. Now, before the whole Soviet thing, Finland operated the regions of Karelia, Sala, Kusamo, Petsamo, and some extra islands in the Gulf. After the wars with the Soviets, these regions were all ceded back to Russia, effectively cutting off their access to the Arctic Ocean. Very quickly, some notable sites and landmarks would have to be the old castles like Savonlinna, Hämeenlinna, Olavinlinna, and the most renowned Suomenlinna. You can probably guess what Linna means by now. Rovaniemi is otherwise known as the home of Santa Claus, where you can go reindeer sledding. Inari and Ivalo is where you can get a real Sami traditional cultural experience. Of course, Helsinki is the epicenter.
Sami ist auch I spoke German too. Sami is this not also the language they speak there? They don't call it Finnish, or they call it Sami. When I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I am wrong.
Of Finnish architecture and culture, with landmarks such as the Tempeli Aukia Church excavated into a rock, Mannerheim Street, the busiest road with all the shops and austere post-Soviet influenced blocky colonnaded buildings, or the iconic Helsinki Cathedral. Now those are all great, but Finland isn't really much of a tight metropolitan type of country. They love their space and have quite a bunch of it. Let's see what lies outside these cities, shall we? Now, if you want me to make this simple, some would argue that Finland is the best winter wonderland in the world. I mean, Canada's cool, but they have too many bears, and Iceland is too explodey, and Russia is too cold. Seriously though, the land is generally flat except in the north by the border with Norway, in which the highest mountain can be found, Mount Halti, although the peak is in Norway. However, in 2017, Norway plans to give Finland the peak for their 100th anniversary of independence from the Soviets. Finland is just wonderfully crisp and
But it wasn't possible, was it, that they give the mountain to Finland because of some laws in Norway, I think, wasn't it?
refreshing, usually ranking in the top 3 countries in the world with the cleanest air quality. This is partially because Finland is almost 80% covered in forest, one of the highest concentrations per square kilometer in the world, only behind countries like Gabon and Suriname. This makes Finland the largest producer of wood in the EU and one of the top in the world. Not only that, but Finland has about 188,000 lakes, most heavily concentrated in lakeland, and in addition to lakes, about 10% of the country is comprised of all water bodies like rivers, ponds, and streams. When mixed with the land, this makes about 1/3 of the country home to swamps and bogs, making it the highest wetland proportion country in Europe and disputably the world. Maybe. But our floods are crazier. Fittingly, the name for swamp in Finnish is suo, and the word for Finland is suomi. I mean, technically they also have like 9 other words for swamp, like rame, neva, leto, luhta, laiteko, apa, paisa, janka, and korpi. And they love these swamps. One Finnish pastime is jumping in the mud, sometimes naked, and either playing soccer or wrestling. The landscape of Finland is shaped that way because imagine what happens when you crush something under a heavy glacier for a really long time, and then after the glacier melts, you're left with pockety erosion and mineral residue all over. Not only that, but Finland is experiencing a post-glacial rebound in which the land is steadily rising along the coast of the Gulf of Bothnia. Every year, Finland gains about 7 square kilometers and is technically rising out of the sea. The longest river is the Kemijoki that passes through Lapland and reaches the Gulf of Bothnia. And the largest lake, as well as the 4th largest in Europe, Lake Saimaa, is located in the southeast. Because Finland is so far north, they are known for being the land of the midnight sun, as during summer you can literally see the sun for 24 hours a day in the northern parts by the Arctic Circle. And of course in the winter times there's hardly any sunlight at all, but if you're lucky you can witness an aurora borealis, especially in the northern parts. Oh, and by the way, the national animals are the whooper swan and the brown bear. Finnish agriculture is of course very standard for northern European countries, lots of rye wheat, turnips, potatoes, and of course fishing is huge out here. However, due to the abundance of lakes and rivers, Finns prefer their own domestic freshwater fish like perch, zander, and miuku as opposed to the sea fish. Speaking of which, coming to Finland, chances are you will eventually try reindeer meat in some shape or form, whether in stew or grilled. In Lapland, you might even find bear on the menu. You can try mami, a pudding made of rye, and of course, every Finn will make every visitor try the strong, salty salmiakki. They love salmiakki so much that they made it into an ice cream, and it's so good, and I'm so mad they don't sell it in my hometown. In the wintertime, they build ice cream, and it's so good, and I'm so mad they don't sell it in my hometown.
This looks amazing also. It's similar to the things in Peru, where they had this kind of glass things at the cliff. Like little things to rent or houses or something, glass thing, and then especially if you look from above, like from a helicopter, so or a drone, I don't know, it looks amazing. I would also love to go there. And I don't think that he will mention anything about what I want to mention and criticize. What is, of course, Finland's wish and desire to join the NATO, because I am against the NATO. And recently, NATO, Finland and Sweden both, said, hey, I want to join you. And it's just like, oh, fuck it. Another 2 countries in this awful military alliance, but yeah. As a pacifist, I hope you will forgive me that I am against military alliances. I'm also against a Russian military alliance, by the way, or a Chinese, or another military alliance. So in general, I'm against military, and NATO is, I think, at least what I hear, how I understand it, one of the most powerful and active military alliances. Which is maybe not true, but here in Germany it's that what you hear. And even if it's not true, military alliances are awful and should not exist.
Wintertime, they build ice hotels, and there's like this cool waterfall in the Paratisi Kuru area in the Uru Kekkonen National Park. Okay, let's talk about Finnish people.
I think they have a very small population of just maybe 5 or 6 million compared to, I mean, compared to the size, it's very small.
Okay, if you go to Finland, you will most likely experience a
I think 5 million something, 5.6, 5 point something million.
rather intense yet intriguing social construct. First of all, the country has about 5.5 million people and is the most
Yeah, I was right.
sparsely populated country in the EU. The country is about 90% ethnically Finnish, about 6% are Swedish, and the rest is made up of everything else under the sun, like Russians, Estonians, Asians, and Africans. They use the euro as currency, they use the type CEF outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Of course, the Finnish people speak the Finnish language, which is arguably one of the hardest languages on earth to learn. Conjugation is a mess, nouns and
The Finnish language. Finnish language learning. I think you can learn it on Duolingo.
Hyvää päivää.
Over.
Hyvää päivää.
Hyvä päivää.
Hyvää päivää.
Hyvä päivää.
Hyvää yötä.
Hyvää yötä.
Hyvää yötä.
Yötä.
Hauska tavata.
Hauska tavata.
Hauska tavata. Hauskaa päivän jatkoa.
Hauskaa
Hauskaa päivän jatkoa.
päivän jatkoa. Well, it is definitive, doesn't look easy, definitive, but interesting. I will, remember this, I will keep it open and later copy the link somewhere. It looks interesting.
Hei.
Hey,
Hyvää huomenta.
hyvää huomenta.
Hyvää huomenta.
Huomenta. I mean, I can maybe try to learn Finnish a bit on Duolingo. I also learned Russian a bit there. Just I started. Learned a bit Turkish, a bit Polish, a bit Arabic, Japanese. So I already started a few languages there. Maybe also Finnish. I can't promise anything, but maybe I can make once say a few things in Finnish. You will hear it then probably or see it in the videos. Please like and subscribe, by the way. I love all languages in the world.
adjectives have inflectionary forms, whatever that means. Nonetheless, Finland has one of the best schooling systems in the world. In Finland, school hours are shorter, less homework is given, and there are virtually no mandated standardized tests apart from the exam you take in your final senior year of high school. Also, if you get your PhD, you have the option to get a sword and a top hat along with your diploma. This is also why Finland is one of the most English-friendly countries in Europe.
This looks also it looks fun. I would love this. I have my own sword. I mean, I got it from someone, but yeah, it sounds fun.
To get a sword and a top hat along with your diploma. This is also why Finland is one of the most English-friendly countries in Europe. Children are taught around ages 9 to 11, and most people of the younger generation can at least hold an impressively fluid conversation. Finland is actually a conscription country in which all men ages 18 and
There's also something I have to criticize. I didn't even saw this coming. I knew about NATO. They want to join NATO. I don't like this. I think it's awful. But I didn't know that they had also conscription, which I already criticized in the Greece episode. And sorry if you think it's something good, then think what you want. But I think it's awful. So you can put in the comments some arguments why you think it's important to have conscriptions, if because you are afraid of the Russians or afraid of the Swedish people. I mean, they occupied your country in the past, so maybe you are right about this, but Still, military is awful, and I think it should not exist.
Up are required to serve either in the military or civilian services anywhere from 165 days to
Okay, at least they offer also an alternative to people who don't want to serve in the military, like doing something else for society. Which that's something we can argue about, whether or not young people should do something for society in general. But serving in the military is, in my opinion, nothing in any way worthful of doing.
a year, depending on the type of service applied for. Åland Islands are exempt from the military conscription, but are required to serve in some kind of institution like the Coast Guard or civil services. Finnish culture is actually pretty funny. The stereotype is that Finns are incredibly quiet and don't talk that much in most public transactions. Just mind your business and no small talk. The cartoon Finnish Nightmares illustrates this concept pretty well. Check it out. Which is funny because Finland is huge on the boisterous, loud, and flashy heavy metal culture, having the highest concentration of heavy metal bands out of any other country in the world, with nearly 650 per 1 million residents. Finns also invented the wife carrying competition, in which a man must carry either his wife or girlfriend or any girl
I mean, I have to say, that's awesome. I just imagined to do this with my girlfriend, and it's both amazing and a bit weird, yeah, but it's amazing. I'm not so much into metal music, so I don't care about this, but this is awesome. I have to say, thumbs up, Finns, my dear Finnish friends. That's awesome. I would also do this. I would probably not win anything, but because I could carry my girlfriend. I could maybe even run with her, but I'm not fast probably then. So I will not win much, but just participating would be awesome. And in general, it sounds like an awesome thing. So, thumbs up.
invented the wife carrying competition, in which a man must carry either his wife or girlfriend or any girl that agrees to get tossed around in an obstacle course, and the winner gets the women's weight in beer. It's very strategic because if you want to win, you might want to carry a lighter wife, but if you want more beer, you better do your squats, bro. Now, if you must know one thing about Finnish culture, you have to know about sauna.
I don't care about beer or alcohol, I think. But I don't care about the beer. I don't need beer. I don't drink any alcohol, so who cares? It's just the sport in general which I like.
The Finns invented the sauna. Most homes, hotels, and apartments have a sauna built into them. They actually had a sauna competition at one point, but then a Russian guy died and they had to kind of cancel it. Overall, though, Finns are kind of brought up in a mindset known as sisu. It's kind of hard to explain the exact definition of it, but it kind of means something like guts or determination and never giving up, which really helped them along the fight with the Soviets. Sisu is to Finland what Jantaloen is to Denmark. There are so many other things I wish we could talk about, but we're running out of time. But we do have time for friend time!
So I think they get along with their Scandinavian neighbors like Sweden and Norway. With Russia, I'm not so sure. Maybe they get along sometimes, depending probably on the time. and now with things happening in Ukraine, they don't get along probably. But in general, and the people, I'm not sure.
Historically, Finland was kind of always a little lonely. I mean, few, if any, trading routes ever went through this area. Even the Mongols were like, we're good, nah, yeah, carry on. Nonetheless, over time, Finland did develop relations, and to this day is one of the most diplomatically outreached countries in the world. I mean, the Finnish passport is the #1 ranked and most sought after, as it has the highest number of visa-free countries applied to it. First of all, Finland generally gets along with other Nordic countries. However, they have the biggest frenemy relationship with Sweden. They'll trade and share a beer or two, but when hockey season comes, the bloodbath begins. When it comes to Russia, Finland kind of has to be their friend because Russia has the longest border with them and business is important. Nonetheless, Russia is kind of seen as like the next door neighbor that you once got into an argument with, but then you kind of fix things up, but then you kind of really didn't get over it, and then you have to see them every other day in the morning as you go to work. Germans are
nice summary.
are always welcome in Finland, and Hungarians are like the long-lost distant cousins that they just discovered and are trying to build a relationship with. Their best friends, though, might be Estonia and Norway. Everybody loves Norway! It's like the Cameroon of Europe. Norway has never had any controversy with Finland, and with the recent mountain gift proposal, relations are only strengthened. Estonia is like the nagging little sister that tries to imitate her bigger brother. I mean, they both even have the same national anthems, but in the end, they are family, and Finland always loves her. In conclusion, Finland really is a winter wonderland with quiet people that transform into metal monsters after a pint of long drink, topping their days off, baking themselves in human ovens for fun. And with that, we finish the Finnish episode. Ah, you waited for that for over 10 minutes. Stay tuned. The country that must not be named.
Yeah, North Macedonia. It's, by the way, as I said also in the video where I named all the countries. If you have not seen it, it's the last video I uploaded. The last video on the last year. You can just write in this. You have to write the countries' names in during 15 minutes. You have to name all of the countries in the world, and it's enough that you write just Macedonia in this game for North Macedonia. I know that you Greece people have an argument with North Macedonia, so yeah, it's I reacted already to Greece, and maybe it's time that I soon react also to North Macedonia. What do you say? Let's see, maybe even today. I mean, as a flag looks amazing of North Macedonia, I have to say. It's one of the most beautiful flags in the world, in my opinion. This combination of yellow and red is just amazing. So, maybe also the country is amazing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. I don't want to say it too often, but yeah. I'm very amazed that I got 25 subscribers in the last year. So, yeah, that's a good pass, I think. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a nice day.